What is up, everyone? Tis I, Z Gaming Guy. That was a new thing, never done that before, I don't think, and I just did, so there you go. So, welcome back to the Z Talks show thing, and if you don't know how this works, I'm going to explain this every time in the beginning, just in case you're new here. Basically, we have topics that we discuss. Well, I mostly talk my face off, and then you guys discuss in the comments, and I read them and stuff. And I go back to the previous week. I start off with that, and I read the comments, and I elaborate on them. Well, I pick 2 or 3 usually. And we'll have different topics every week. And so last time we talked about, like, what's too far for jokes, like racism and stuff like that. Black holes. We talked about hypothetical scenarios. So I'm going to go and I'm going to pick a couple comments, read them for you, and I'm going to give my thoughts on what you said. Oh, but before we move on, I almost forgot. So I know I get a lot of people telling me that my videos aren't showing up anymore on their home feed or the subscription feed sometimes even, stuff like that. So, and I know that other YouTubers have this issue as well. And if you want to avoid that, obviously there's the whole like, yeah, hit the notification bell, blah, 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 become part of the notification squad. Yeah, there's that, obviously. We all have heard it before. But you can also follow me on Twitter if you'd like. There's a link in the description. And I have it to where YouTube sends a link to my Twitter page. So that's 100% of the time. A link will be sent there. And you can see everything I upload there if you'd like as well. So you can do one of those 2 things if you want, to not just, well, I guess the Twitter thing you can only do for me because I'm a goddamn savage. And I have technology understood well, I guess. I don't know. That doesn't make any sense. I don't know where I was going with that. Shut up. But now on to your comments. So starting off, we have Ivy Mike saying, on the topic of racist comments, I think it 100% depends on the person's intentions. Not to say that someone with no bad intentions can't go too far, but when it happens, it's driven more by ignorance than hate. First of all, you used the proper than. You didn't say then, you said than. Ivy, you're cool in my book, alright? I'm going to just throw that out there. Anyway, I think more effort should be put into establishing a person's intentions before lumping them in with this group or that group. And I totally 100% agree with you. First of all, a lot of people, it's really easy. I think pretty much everyone is guilty of this at some point or another, where you hear a phrase or maybe a couple things someone says and you lump them together with, oh, well, then they're this. You know, like, sometimes, I'll admit, I do it too, you know, where you have a guy who comes up in a truck, Confederate flag in the back, and he looks like a total redneck, and I'm thinking, well, he probably has like 3 guns in his car, you know, and then I'm kind of lumping him in with that, like, Republican gun lover category, which is obviously just like a stereotype thrown on them. And it's not fair, because it's not like all Republicans are like that. It's not like it's necessarily a bad thing to be like that, or whatever, but it happens, you know what I mean? But going back to your example of like intentions, so here's a little story about me and where I think intentions are important. So I dated a girl who had brain cancer, right? Well, I mean, I guess she still technically does, but she was cured of it where it's not as much of a threat. Anyway, she definitely had some problems later after all like the chemo and everything. It's still kind of like, you know, the memory was bad and things like that. And I would make... I made a joke once. I don't know if you want to call it a joke, but basically, like, I couldn't remember something I needed to remember, but I remembered like something I didn't need to remember, and I was like, man, brains are so dumb sometimes. Like, you'll remember a lyric to a song you've heard once like 10 years ago, but I can't remember an answer to a question that I studied my ass off for the night before. You know what I mean? Like, brains are just weird like that. And it wasn't, I didn't mean it in a bad way or anything. It's just like, you know, oh, well, that's just weird how that happens. You know, it's kind of like calling cats assholes. Like, it's like, there's truth to it. Don't get me wrong. Cats are goddamn assholes. But it's still like just kind of this ongoing joke with people. You know what I mean? But she got really upset that I said that. And I get it. Like, her circumstances, maybe it was insensitive to me to say it, but however, my intentions were not bad or anything. It was, but obviously that didn't matter to her. And that's kind of like imagine if I had gotten blown up on the internet, right? There would obviously be sides of people who say, you shouldn't have said that to someone who had brain cancer, and then there'd be sides of people who said, it's just a joke, like, it's fine, you know what I mean? Since I shaved my head, you know how many times I get, oh, you're a skinhead now? You're gonna get like a Nazi symbol, like, tattooed on your head and stuff like that? Like, it was like, the joke's just annoying at this point just because I've heard it so many times, but like, I wasn't like thinking, wow, what, you support this shit, or you think I'm part of it or whatever. Like, it's just a joke, you know, who cares? So I get what you mean by intentions are important, and I definitely agree with you. That was kind of more of a rant than I anticipated, but there you go. So during the last video, I also asked you guys, what are your thoughts on like a YouTube competitor coming out and moving to the platform? Would you follow your creators if they moved over there, or how would you what would you think about that? And in response to that, Kyle Postian, I'm sorry, I'm not quite sure, said a transition to a new platform would need to be announced loudly before it happens. I would be open to it, and I would love to hear your opinion of the process of being a public figure online. So I think that's cool that you're willing to do it, and as for it having to be loud, you're right, because right now, YouTube, like a lot of people aren't as aware about the whole YouTube nonsense going on with creators, you know what I mean? A lot of people just go on YouTube and they skim through the video to see highlights of what they want instead of watching the full thing. And so they don't, like, if someone at the beginning of the video is like, hey, YouTube's having this thing where I'm not getting paid, I can't keep doing this, blah, 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 they're probably just going to skip past it. So a lot of people don't know about it. And you're right, that's why it would need to be loud. And it'd be funny if a commercial for it was up on YouTube somewhere. But as for my thoughts on it, it's risky, to say the least. I mean, like, I guess, okay, here's my thought. If something came up, right, and it popped up, okay, let me real quickly, like how I mentioned Pornhub might do something like this. I can't remember what they were supposedly going to call it. It wasn't like Game Hub. It was something Hub, but it didn't sound like an adult site or anything. So just in case you were wondering about that, that was a thing. Anyway, if something did come out, initially, I would want to move over there, because if you are going to be one of the first creators, like that's an advantage, especially if that site keeps gaining traction and traction. Like it's like when Fortnite wasn't that big, but there are still YouTubers on it. Like imagine making a YouTube channel dedicated to Fortnite, and people kind of came over there who were interested in the game and got a big subscriber count from that. And once Fortnite started getting more and more popular, your channel's the one that stands out because it already has like thousands of subscribers put towards a Fortnite-centric channel. So that's the same idea with a new site. Is if I were to move there and I was one of the, I mean, I'm not one of the few gaming channels, but hopefully one of the few more high-quality channels, then people would just naturally go, oh well, Z Gaming guy has more quality over Sexy Sniper 69 over here, so I'm gonna watch him instead, you know, and by default you might win, and that gives you an advantage. But there's also the fear that if you dedicate everything there and it doesn't work out, then you're losing momentum in YouTube. So I would be uploading to both because that wouldn't be very hard, I'd imagine. And if enough traction came to the other site, then I would just slowly get away from YouTube and move over there. So that's my thoughts on it, on what I would do. And I think it's good, because even if the site doesn't work out the way everyone would hope it would at least force YouTube to come up with better terms and things to work out better. Because it's kind of like Madden. If you, I don't know, a lot of you probably don't care about sports games, but Madden has no competitors. You know, there's nothing that can compete with that football game, so they don't need to innovate all that much. But if there was someone that was there with them, they'd have to keep getting better if they wanted to stand out. So I think it's good all around, regardless of the outcome of that other site. Okay, now we're going to move on to some new topics. And the first topic brought up is by Bulletface. I love the name. It says, what are your thoughts on about the rapid technological leap we are living? He means like about 4 years ago, 1080p was a standard, now it's 4K, etc. And it's amazing. Because like there had to been a time in your life, maybe not like younger generations, but at least for me and definitely people of like my dad and stuff, there are times where you think there's no way this is going to be a thing ever. Like technology can't advance this far, and then it happens. You know, like hoverboards were just like this crazy sci-fi thing that would never really exist, and I'm pretty sure there's already hoverboards. Flying cars, people are still saying I'm waiting for flying cars. Well, honestly, we don't want flying cars. We want hover cars. That'd be more intelligent than flying cars. But it blows my mind. Like every time, but now it's so fast, you just don't even like. there's a side that it blows your mind, and there's a side that you're like, nah, like, not surprised anymore. You know what I mean? It's kind of like when I first saw the, I don't remember what it's called, but it's like a circular treadmill, and you're strapped to it and you play games, and when you walk in real life, you walk in the game. And I remember always thinking, oh man, that'd be so cool if one day it happened, and then it happened. I was like, what? So if someone comes up to me and says, hey, do you think there'll ever be a blah, blah, blah? I just can't say no anymore, you know, because how many times have we been disproven? There could be anything's possible at this point. Humans can do pretty much anything. I feel like the only thing I felt pretty confident about was that space travel was never going to be like a really good thing, as in like we couldn't space travel very easily, or FTL even, fast speed of light or close to it, within my lifetime. But you never know, I guess. I've been proven wrong before, so I look forward to seeing what can happen. Here's a question I want to pass on to you guys. What is something that you think will be the craziest thing that might happen within your lifetime? For me personally, the craziest thing I can imagine happening within my lifetime, maybe, is if we can harness people's consciousness. Kind of like a Sword Art Online, if you've seen that, where you can like enter like a gaming world or enter into like a robot body, but still you. And I mean, all this flesh is just a vessel for our brain. So maybe we can figure that out someday. That'd be like the craziest thing maybe I could see happening within my lifetime. So this one's going to be really quick, but this is from Pokeplayer saying, I don't know the exact term, but what's your opinion on the doctors messing with embryo or zygote of a baby to change its traits? Eugenics, I think. I obviously don't know a whole lot about it either, but if I was to give you my opinion on the concept of it, at the very least, I think it's fine. You know, why not? It's if it further if it's a further evolution for humanity, I don't really think that's a downside, unless there's like obviously bad side effects to it. It's probably expensive as all hell. So if you manage to save the money, I mean, you can do whatever the fuck you want. Apparently, you can buy a planet sometimes. So I mean, that's fine. It's just how things are gonna eventually be. They're gonna be more. Things are going to be more in our control as time goes on, you know, whether it be like the weather or genes and stuff like that. Like the more we're always trying to gain control of things that we don't have control of. So it's not surprising. Now we'll move on to probably the last question. And this is from Terminator00666, who just loves posting these very hardball questions. He asked this time, I have recently learned about the genetic cloning of organisms and how to do it in my genetics class. If we would let people clone themselves, would you? Or do you think others would clone themselves? Now, if you're asking, would humans do X or Y? Yes, they always will. No, 100% of the time, if there's something you can think of a human doing, they fucking done it. If it's like eating a goddamn Tide Pod that says it shouldn't be eaten on it, they're gonna do it. Because humans are dumb. So if you gave someone the option to clone themselves, they would, and they think who knows, maybe some of them are just like, oh, I'll just have my clone do everything or whatever. So here's what weirds me out about cloning though, okay? Is, for one thing, do they keep all of the memories that you had as if it was their own? Or are they just like a newborn, basically? Because if that's the case, if they're newborn, then they don't know how to talk or anything like that. They can barely function. They're just a sack of meat that looks like you. But if they do have all your memories and experiences and stuff like that, and they can just basically be you, there's a couple questions I have. Do they still have the reflexes you have, or the kind of like automotion that you've mustered over the years? You know, like I can play Guitar Hero really well, but can I clone? Like, has he built the reflexes to do it, or does he just have my knowledge? But here's the biggest thing: is imagine you just wake up in a bed and you're just like, what the hell? Where am I? And then someone comes up to you and says, well, you're a clone, so you need to do all the work and stuff, while this you just, you know, plays video games. You're gonna be kind of pissed off, right? Because you're gonna be like, what the fuck? I'm a clone? Like, I don't feel like a clone. I feel like the real deal. why do I have to do this? Why does he do it? Why don't we just switch off or something? You know what I mean? Like, there's a chance that the clone is gonna have, well, a very high chance, I feel like, is gonna have its own feelings and desires and stuff. Well, by its own, I mean the same things he would probably have. So there's so many what ifs about cloning humans that I'm like, oh, I kind of want to stay away from that. Let other people deal with that. But if there's like a revolution of clones, it's like AI, you know what I mean? Which is another very interesting topic that I'm sure I'll talk a lot about when I go through the game Detroit Become Human, which comes out very soon, I believe. So I will be doing a playthrough of that. However, we're talking about clones right now, and weirds me out, man. I don't want to see me. And I've asked this, I said this a long time ago, one of my really early episodes, because someone in high school had asked me once, if you have sex with a clone of yourself, is that considered masturbation? I was like, no, I'm pretty sure that's just fucking gay, dude. Like, I don't think that's masturbating. The only reason I'd ever clone myself is so that I can make multiple me's to have on my team in Overwatch, so I don't need to deal with fucking randoms. How about this, though? I'm gonna ask you a question about this. So, what if there's a scenario where you could clone yourself, but they're at the peak of what you could possibly be? So they are the most mentally enhanced you can be. They are the most physically fit that you could be. So you are like going up against and seeing the apex of you. So I feel like that'd be really interesting if, like, I'd definitely I'd fight me. I'd beat the shit out of, well, he'd probably beat the shit out of me because he's a better me than me. But it'd still be cool. Because even if I lose, which I probably will, then I'd be like, wow, I'm capable of this if I just work hard enough. You know what I mean? I think that'd be kind of interesting, especially like if you think you're good at something and you face yourself at that thing, then you can see how much more you can improve. You know what I mean? Or how close you are to your prime. I think that's pretty interesting. So would you take up that offer? If so, what would you want to face yourself in? All right, guys, that does it for this Z Talks episode. Sorry we went on a little longer than I usually would like to go on these things, but some very cool things to talk about. So hopefully you guys don't mind the longer episodes in this. But thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed the video, why don't you leave a like? Why don't you give it a little thumbs up? Like, not a physical thumbs up, but actually click on the thing that, please. So hopefully you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.